if you work in a clinic, you pretty much conform to the software that they're using. And it may not even work for you. And it's just like, well, I only use a couple of these features and then I have no idea what the rest of the software does. So you're not really utilizing it to its full capacity, which can A, be frustrating, B, be a bit cumbersome, or C, be very limiting.
Welcome to How to Build a Profitable Nutrition Business. If you love nutrition and you love helping people and you want to be in the game long enough to keep doing that, then this is the podcast for you. Let's get into it. If you have a nutrition business, you'll have an understanding of the value of time. Today's guest is Robbie Clark. He is a dietitian and founder of HealthBank, which is a software solution that basically saves nutrition professionals or health professionals time. Now, I apologize in advance. This episode may seem like it's a paid promotion, but I promise you it is not. Robbie was initially coming on to talk about streamlining your service and your clinical services, and I sort of sidetracked him into asking him more about HealthBank. I make no apologies about that because this is a podcast about building a profitable nutrition business, and it's hard to be profitable if you're doing all the admin work yourself, not spending the time where you should be, which is with your client. And so having built a bit of a mishmash of tech myself and used other products in the past, HealthBank is like nothing I've seen before, and it's something that I'd love our listeners to check out. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of How to Build a Profitable Nutrition Business. I am a bit of a tech nerd, so I'm super excited to have Robbie Clark here from HealthBank today. I was fortunate to meet Robbie at the DA conference about a month ago there in Brisbane, and we just connected through our mutual connection friend, Rebecca Jones. And talking to Robbie, it excites the hell out of me because I think we may have started our business at a similar time, maybe Robbie a bit earlier than me potentially, I'm not sure, but we went through the same struggles, I'd imagine, because that back then when tech was not as abundant as what it was, we saw the opportunities that were there and just how we could potentially make our lives easier in practice. Robbie has basically put everything into action and gone and created a program that is just amazing, and I cannot recommend highly enough for anyone listening. So Robbie, I'm going to hand over to you. Thanks again for your time, for coming on. If you could give our listeners a bit of an insight into the journey from you as a clinician, as a dietitian, and when you started to HealthBank where it is today.
Absolutely. And thanks so much, Chris, for having me. As you say, I second that. We just met, we clicked. And when you meet like-minded, innovative, ambitious people, you just know that they're your community. And so I really thank you for having me on and helping your listeners, if I can impart any words of wisdom. But in terms of my background, it's an interesting one because I'll take you back even just slightly before that as to even how I got into dietetics. And my background, I'm an ex-elite gymnast. So sports was always my thing. And I was always passionate about how food can influence performance, and not just athletic performance, but also just day-to-day performance. And so I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I did my undergrad in exercise science and nutrition. And then I came to that fork road and went, right, I could either become an exercise physiologist or I could go down the path of becoming a dietitian. And like I mentioned, because food was my passion as well, it was a no-brainer. And so I did my master's in nutrition and dietetics down at UC in Canberra. And that then allowed me to have those connections through the AIS as where I trained a little bit. I knew I wanted to get into the sports nutrition realm. However, as time went on, I did a bit of a stint there in terms of a placement at the AIS and other places, but I just knew I wanted to get into private practice. Rather than being influenced to go down the clinical path into the hospital system, I just knew that my personality and what I wanted to do with dietetics was suited to that private practice. Moved back to Sydney, where I'm from, and started looking for private practice jobs. Very challenging to do when you're fresh and green out of uni. But this new clinic opened up in Circular Quay, and it was a multidisciplinary clinic. And I was very fortunate enough to get in there because it was quite state of the art for its time, had all these like-minded, innovative practitioners who wanted to shake things up in industry. So I worked alongside all different types of modalities: nutritionists, physios, osteo, chiros, functional medicine practitioners, massage therapists, acupuncturists, you name it.
Wow.
And I'm sure everyone who's listening who's worked in private practice can agree, if you work in a clinic, you pretty much conform to the software that they're using. And it may not even work for you. And it's just like, well, I only use a couple of these features and then I have no idea what the rest of the software does. So you're not really utilizing it to its full capacity, which can A, be frustrating, B, be a bit cumbersome, or C, be very limiting. So having worked there and then in another clinic with another software, I was like, there is nothing here that really caters to the nutrition, fitness kind of professionals. So I said to myself, I think I can do this better. Well, here we are. And that's how I came to the idea of building a platform like HealthBank, which is essentially a practice management software. However, I evolved it into more of a digital clinic software because even back then I saw the way that health was heading was in a more digital way. And again, this is all pre-COVID, right? So before telehealth, before that even became a thing, I knew that I wanted to have some form of video embedded within my platform. And so, yeah, we built out this product, which is a digital clinic software, allowing practitioners to build a business and manage their clients and their appointments and all of their medical records through HealthBank. But the clincher was how the clients engage with their practitioner. So we also, that was our other target market. It wasn't just the practitioner. We also wanted to really cater to the clients to better engage with practitioners. Because
So
once you have
important.
that, happy
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So you'd started your own practice by the time you started HealthBank. Would I be right in saying that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was trying to build out my own private practice and got to a point in my career where my books were filled daily. And I was very fortunate enough to have a fantastic mentor. So that really does help for any of those who are starting out and wanting to build their own private practice. And it took about 3 years to actually get to that point. And yeah, I was really quite humble and grateful that I'd built this great private practice. And I just wanted something more.
Yeah. Was it also born out of that, the need to make your life a little bit easier, like just because those solutions weren't there?
Definitely. And I won't name the software that we were using, but it certainly has its purpose. I want to make that very clear. Software is built by whoever the founders are for a purpose. They see a purpose in market, maybe for specific practitioners, and then that's the type of features that they want to build out to cater to those practitioners. But I wanted something a little bit more specific and also from digitally driven as well to make people's lives easier, including my own. So you're absolutely right. I wanted to streamline my admin workflows and I wanted to streamline my clinical workflows as well because I wanted to travel. That was my passion. I wanted to be able to still work if I wanted to while traveling, but also know that I can do that anywhere around the world.
Yeah.
And also to cut down the hours of my day that I have spending on admin to then either free up my own time, alternatively choose to take on more clients to earn more money. So there's that flexibility piece and freedom. Yeah.
Oh, it's huge, isn't it? It's one, that living the dream of being able to work from anywhere, but what you were saying about reducing those clinical tasks. I interviewed Mitch Smith, who's got an amazing practice up in Cairns a couple of weeks ago, and Mitch said he sits out the front once a month and actually works in admin, and he said that he will do the jobs so he can get an insight into his staff's day, but because a lot of the time staff won't raise the issue that, oh, I think we could do things better. So he'll be doing their task going, there's a better way we could do this. And then he comes up and finds a solution. So you and I were talking before we started recording here. And I said, we had our practice and we had a awesome software that we were paying for, that we were using for our booking system, but it didn't suit us clinically. And we ended up building our own sort of mishmash of tech, which is outdated technology now, but I'd worked out the amount of savings that it was bringing us just by streamlining a lot of those solutions. And so it was about $50,000 in admin costs a year. It was saving us $120,000 in dietitian wages a year. So like an investment in any of these solutions is well worth it for the clinician, particularly when you start to calculate time, don't you?
Absolutely. And I ask practitioners to really ask themselves the question, if I do invest my time in learning how to utilize a product that is going to eventually get me there, what are the outcomes going to be? What am I going to get from it? Is it more time with your clients? Is that what you want to do? Or is it more time to yourself? Or is it lessening the burden of all that admin stuff, which we as practitioners really quite loathe, but it is absolutely necessary in order to run a successful business. So you're trying to look at why these things are important. And for me, because I am so passionate about what I do, for me, it was more around, all right, this is allowing me to be more personalized with my clients. So with data, with tech, I'm able to get all this information and let it do all the interpretation for me to provide more personalized insights. So that was a huge tick for me. Second thing was it's going to streamline my workflows. Okay, that is obviously really important. Lessen the headaches of what comes with admin. And it was also enhancing the collaboration of my clients with me. So that engagement piece was so important for me. And it should be for other practitioners as well, because that's where we see the better health outcomes. As soon as that engagement piece is enhanced, we then see those better health outcomes. So it was clear as day for me. And that's why when you can then start working towards something.
Yeah, I love what you said there about the client engagement side of things, particularly now with what we've got in the space of wearable technology and being able to really get input from our clients. Like with that software I was talking about that we'd built, for me, there was a selfish component. It was actually just about making our staff and our team's life easier. But I actually wanted to free up our admin's time so they could actually spend more time with the clients when they come in and just nurture them before they actually come into the consult. Now, with what you've got in that wearable technology space, the world's our oyster, isn't it? There's some really exciting opportunities.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, what that is doing, it's allowing for a real-time health system. So you are retrieving or receiving this data from wearable devices in real time. And again, that's part of HealthBank, right? Is a repository for this information. So it is constantly being updated. So every time a practitioner accesses their client's profile, they know what their sleep is doing. They know what their exercise has been for the past week, 2, 3 months. And they're able to then have that data in front of them and talk to it in real time in the consultation, rather than sending someone a questionnaire that is A, very subjective and can sometimes be retrospective. So that then is, you're not really getting that quality data that you're getting from real time. So what we're doing is shifting from subjective data to objective data, which is then allows pracs to really do their job, which is where the excitement lies.
So HealthBank will be able to, correct me if I'm wrong, it'll be able to integrate different wearable technology and then, if you like, translate that into one system in HealthBank for the clinician to interpret. If that's correct, then that's amazing, because having my clients with diabetes, they'd come in and there's all different blood glucose monitors or there's different exercise apps, and you waste a few minutes just trying to get your head around how to interpret the data in all these different apps. If you're translating that into one system for the clinician so it's presentable in the same format most of the time, that's huge.
Absolutely. And you would know, being in tech, it's if a product has an API which you can call upon and integrate it within your platform, all that is essentially doing is allowing the two systems to talk to each other for those who aren't necessarily tech driven. So say, for example, let's use Fitbit. If someone has a Fitbit device, we have integrated that within HealthBank. They just need to log in to their Fitbit account, and then it's pulling the data in real time as it would through the Fitbit app. So then that's being put onto HealthBank. So again, every time the practitioner now has insights to that from their profile, rather than needing them to say in an appointment, oh, hey, do you mind pulling up your Fitbit app and let's have a look at that data? It's like, no, I have access to that data through your HealthBank account. Yeah, that's exciting. And I do want to preface this. People think it's quite scary. It's a bit of a big brother moment. But at the end of the day, we're all about consent and permission. Obviously, it is the client who is providing that permission or consent to share that data. We are very ethical in that regard as well.
Yeah, of course. And great to hear. I certainly understand people's concerns in that space. For me, I'm someone that I'm an early adopter. I love the fact that if I was going to see a clinician, I wouldn't have to share that data. It's saving me a job. But yeah, look, mate, when I first come across HealthBank, the thing that I loved was your pricing strategy. I saw it as so unique. So I'm just plugging the hell out of HealthBank here. This is not normally a promo, but as you can tell, I'm a bit of a HealthBank fan. HealthBank is free technically for users. There's no subscription cost. It's a charge for essentially passed on to the client. So it's like having a FPOS terminal, if you like, and then you're passing on that cost. So you're not paying for it unless you're making money anyway.
That's exactly right. And that's the thing. I think as being a practitioner myself, having worked in clinics, in bricks and mortar clinics, where you're either paying rent or a commission on your appointments, or in worst case scenarios, a combination of the two. So practitioners then have all these overhead costs, which obviously now with the cost of living is also problematic for a lot of people. They're trying to find ways of how they're going to practice, which is also why we've seen a shift to the digital space, because there are far less overheads, but subscription costs go up too. So not only are you thinking for practitioners about subscription costs for software, and by software, practice management software. But then if you're doing telehealth, you might then need to have the premium version of Zoom, which so you don't have that 40-minute limitation. And then you might have your accounting software on top of that. All these costs then start adding up. But I built this product, so practitioners deserve every dollar that they earn and can retain that as best as possible. So you're right. It's a $0 subscription. So it's completely free for practitioners. And we have just put on that $1 booking fee, which goes to HealthBank, but the client wears that cost at the time of appointment confirmation or payment. And that's very transparent as well to the client. The cost is broken down. It's in the terms and conditions. So it's not as though we're trying to hide it. We're just trying to celebrate it in order for practitioners to really earn their living.
Look, I think it's more evidence that this is a solution built by a practitioner for practitioners, because like you say, like particularly early on, the stress, the financial stress for health professionals was just where this podcast is born out of. Like I've been through it. It's quite stressful trying to make ends meet. There's so many different costs each week. To have something that you're not going to pay for unless you're actually making money, and essentially you're not paying for it, you're passing that cost on. And yes, a dollar matters, but it's still only a dollar for your client. I just loved it. I thought it's such a genius pricing strategy that I think is fair. And I don't think particularly the results and the engagement that the clients will get out of it, it's a small price to pay.
Definitely. And what some people might find that uncomfortable in terms of putting a cost onto their clients, the way I basically say to them is that they can absorb that $1 cost by reducing their whole appointment cost to the client by $1. And then that basically works itself out in the wash, essentially. So yeah, there are ways around it, and being adaptable to that type of modeling is absolutely achievable. And I really like what you said about it's the financials that really burden practitioners. And you couldn't be more right, especially if they think about all the admin that they do on top of seeing their clients. They're not paying themselves for the admin. And a lot of the times, they're also not including any of those admins' time into the costs of their appointments either.
No.
So all of a sudden, out of the goodness of their own heart, they're doing additional admin, whether it be collating personal emails or reminder emails or text messages, follow-ups, and things like this, where what they're not really focused on is, imagine if that could be automated, for example.
Yeah.
That can cut down in a whole week, free up 30% of their admin time. And that's at least another 5 clients in their week in which they could be making more money. So again, it's trying to streamline things to get it out of the way where you can focus on then your marketing, perhaps, and then getting more clients through the door.
Yeah, I've said this multiple times on this podcast, Robbie, that health professionals traditionally, and I'm speaking from experience, are not good at business. We get in to help people, and sometimes we need to be dragged kicking and screaming to the table that, no, you need to charge for your services. Your time is worth something. Stop giving it away for free. And yeah, so I completely understand. It's why we built Mealzee. I used to sit on weekends, instead of doing things with my kids like what I should have been doing, I'd be building a meal plan for someone that might take me 1 to 2 hours. So these solutions are inevitable, and it's great that it's a practitioner that's gone and built it for practitioners, and that's quite clear. You can also order pathology through HealthBank as well now, can't you?
Yeah, so again, that's where I really looked at, okay, what do practitioners do in their day with their clients? And then also, how many different portals do they have to log into in order to place these types of orders? For example, a lot of people in the nutrition world, they might prescribe functional pathology or just general pathology to explore certain biomarkers. They might then prescribe stool tests, salivary tests, urinary tests, and then they might also prescribe nutraceuticals, so supplements, whether it be sports nutrition or sports performance, or whether it be chronic disease management or interventions. They might use the assistance of certain practitioner-only supplements to help with their programming and their protocols. Now, to do that, you have to log into multiple portals. Whereas what we have done with HealthBank is done it all under one roof. So practitioners can prescribe pathology and supplements to their clients through HealthBank, and then that's all they have to do. HealthBank would then take care of the rest of ordering the kits, the supplements, the referral forms, and then sending them off to the clients.
Wow. So what about if someone, because I'm thinking of myself, like with when we had our business, we had a lot of our data already entrenched. So there's a real friction point in moving across to HealthBank if someone's already established. How would HealthBank deal with that?
Yes, we are one of very few software companies who offer a free migration service. So we understand that there is legacy software that people use, and that is their reluctance in the first place. It's all my client files are there. All the client attachments, documents are all there. But we, HealthBank, help with migrating all of that data over to our software. And that takes the stress and the headaches away from the practitioners, because it's a huge undertaking. And this is just another way of showing our customer service of how we want to support practitioners who utilize the software.
Wow, I'm thinking about the time that must take you guys as well.
And
There's a lot of work in that still.
there certainly is, because we have to QA everything and make sure that it's secure, and we're not just using people from offshore, for example, and doing it. Everything stays here onshore in Australia, including our servers. So from a data security standpoint, that's really important to us. And I think it should be also for practitioners, considering that there have been some breaches with certain organizations or companies. We take data security, cybersecurity very, very seriously. Yeah.
Robbie, look, I think anyone listening to this probably thinks that this is a paid promotion, but I promise everyone, Robbie, this was just purely a connection at the DA conference, and I wanted to get Robbie on because it's an area I'm so passionate about, having worked in this space. Mate, thank you for your time for coming on. To me, I don't have a practice so much now, but certainly if I was scaling back up into that space, it's just a no-brainer. Like you have to be smart with the solutions that you choose that's going to save you time, which ultimately is going to save you money. Or help
Yeah,
you
definitely.
generate. Mm.
Definitely. And I think also for people who are transitioning, whether it be to bricks and mortar to digital, it can be very confronting and very overwhelming. But we have really designed something where the sign-up process is easy, and it's just that migration of data that's probably the most challenging, but also transitioning out of university. It's getting out of that textbook headspace and then into the real world of practice, which again, it can be overwhelming for new graduates, practitioners who are like, I have no idea where to start. Not only did I create something that is almost like a business in a box, so you can start seeing clients from the get-go if you've got all your business information and admin. And also, we've created a full day workshop of helping people set up their business to transition into the digital space as well. Yeah, win-win.
Wow, love it. Well, Robbie, mate, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If anyone would like to get in contact, we will obviously put the HealthBank details in the show notes and below. If anyone wanted to reach out to Robbie personally, are you okay if we put your LinkedIn profile on there, mate?
Absolutely. Not a problem at all.
All right, we'll do that. Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Chris.
Do you find this podcast valuable? There may be other nutrition professionals out there will also. If you like, share, and subscribe, it's going to help other nutrition professionals make an impact on the world just like you. Thanks.